Welcome to another Sylvester Stallone fan podcast episode. How are you guys doing, Craig? How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. I'm getting ready for spring here and in fabulous Las Vegas before the brutal summer kicks in. Yeah, just rocking and rolling here.
Well, when this album gets when this album drops, when this episode gets released, it's going to be April in Vegas, so it's going to probably be pretty warm for you by then.
April's a great month here. My three favorite months here in Las Vegas are November, March, and April.
And Doug, how you doing there?
I'm doing good, Ryan. I wish you still were on East Coast time, to be honest. But
we outvote you now.
Yeah, now I'm the one on the outs.
It's not even dark here yet.
Yeah, it's still got a little bit of daylight. Okay, well, so without further ado, today's episode, we put this up for vote. This went up against Reach Me. What was the other one this was up against? Shade.
Shade, yeah.
So
which I know we disappointed Liam, because I know Liam said he doesn't know too much about that movies. I think that's like the third time I've offered up Shade and it's lost. So
same.
My pride's starting to.
That's it. 3 strikes and it's out.
Reach Me has been getting horrible. People have been voting for it, both Facebook and Twitter, but Reach Me is always in dead last whenever I put it up for a poll. I would assume 3/4 of the people are like, what movie is he talking about? Reach Me. The winner for the audience is ICU or D-Tox. What do you guys want to call this film?
Well, the cut I watched had ICU as on the title card.
That's funny.
Likewise.
Mine said D-Tox on the title card when it came up in the film. Isn't that funny?
God, I wonder if we watched the same cut. How long was yours, Ryan?
Good question. Mine was 1 hour and 35 minutes. I remember.
Yeah, that's what ours was too.
Okay. Because I remember I was watching that time constantly.
I wasn't the only one.
Okay.
Right. It said ICU on the title card, right, Doug, on TV?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And from memory, I know you're going to ask me this, Ryan. I haven't watched this since it came out on DVD in 2003 or whatever it was.
2002.
It felt like the same movie I watched. The only thing is the opening section before he goes to Wyoming felt a lot longer. At least my memory of the movie was like he's in that underground bunker for like 90 minutes. And then I was like, what's all this setup?
Well, we'll get into it, but the setup, quite frankly, is probably the best part of the film.
Yeah, you know,
probably.
Yeah. When did Saw come out?
Okay, we'll get to that. Let's slow down. So, listeners, this movie was filmed in 1999. Stallone at the time was 52. Craig kind of alluded to. This was kind of in that heyday of the resurgence of the slasher flick, the teen slasher flicks. We had the Scream movies that come out, and we had, of course, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Which the director of this...
Jim Gillespie, and I didn't realize that until after watching the film. I do very little research before I see a film for the first time because I just want to go in cold. And it wasn't so. I was like, okay, what else has this director done? Well, no surprise. I was partly not surprised that he's done nothing since this film because it was a complete failure. And then I was surprised that the film right before this one was a huge success. Both financially, it was loved by fans and financially a box office hit.
It's got a great scene in it. One of the best scenes of that film and probably of horror in the 90s is when Pete Sampras's wife gets killed and the fisherman's got her on the hook and he's dragging her down the aisle of that grocery store.
Yeah.
She was a big actress. I don't remember her name. Bridget something.
Jennifer Love Hewitt?
No. Whoever Pete Sampras married around that time.
I don't know.
Bridget something?
Bridget Wilson.
Yeah. She was a big actress at the time, and then she married Pete Sampras and was probably like, I don't have to act anymore.
She was the girl in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, blonde girl, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I Know What You Did what you did last summer in the theaters. I just remember enjoying every scene Jennifer Love Hewitt was in, especially the rain. All right. Can we just talk about her for the
Okay. Better than talk about this shitty movie.
Did Jim Gillespie really not do anything after this?
Well, yes, actually, his next film, great question. His next film after D-Tox was, you might have heard of it, Venom.
Wait,
what year did that
most
come out?
recent one?
No, the 2005 one with Method Man.
This was filmed in, 98?
99.
So we've talked about the road that Stallone could have taken And we've sort of bemoaned the fact that he sort of pivoted and went back. And it really pains me to say that watching Detox was him trying to do that. The movie was completely hung out to dry and is probably another reason that we didn't get the alternate universe Stallone focusing on acting a la Copland. Can be tied directly to Detox and its failure. And I know Sly talked about why he thought this movie failed, mainly because of distribution and the studio not believing in it. And it makes me ask a bigger question, and this is for Hollywood in general. Why do you develop projects and then get shocked by the end results?
Yeah.
There was a script. You hired a director. You knew what the director was capable of delivering. And then you see the movie and you're like, oh, this isn't what we were planning on. And then you shelf it. And it's really frustrating because it's like me. I make banana bread every week and I go buy a recipe. I know what the banana bread's going to taste like based on the recipe. Like,
I don't know. The questions are very valid, and they've been questions that I've asked myself every time I listen to maybe a song where that's the producer's job, or a movie where it's the director or an editor's job, quite frankly, to put together a product where it's like, hey, we've got this film, we've got this footage, but at the end of the day, the director in front of the actors, when he says, action, and he's watching them act in the storyline, and even before that, they have the storyboards, right? Don't they storyboard these films? Like, I don't understand why they're not saying, you know what, that's kind of stupid. That's kind of corny. Or that line there doesn't work. Or what's happening here? Or we can see who the killer is a mile away. I mean, all these things, like, I don't understand why people who are in the business aren't smarter to the business.
It's frustrating.
It's so hard to come up with original ideas that,
Is it though?
everything's...
There's so much... I hear you, Doug. You're right. I'm not trying
But they're rebooting it. They're rebooting everything left and right these days.
Yeah, and to your point, Detox is essentially a middle-aged version of I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's by the same director and has the same beats as that type of film.
And you said Scream before with the talking on the phone with the distorted voice.
Ugh.
I won't live long. The odds are against that. So what time I have left, I will dedicate to you. I'll always be close, like hide and seek. Now, about Mary.
That reminded me of Saw. The voice, at first I was like, that's the Saw voice.
In order to survive, you must save as I save. In turn, you will receive a clue to your salvation. Make your choice.
Well, speaking of the voice, did you guys watch the trailer?
No.
Yes, and the trailer, the voice wasn't distorted.
You ever play hide and seek? What makes that game so much fun? It's when the hunter is staring right at you.
The voice wasn't modulated, Craig, so it was the only guy speaking the whole movie with an English accent.
It was revealed in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Did you guys also get, and I know we're going to get into this, but
Are we?
Did you get like an escape plan vibe from the bunker they were in?
I think this is a movie because it's so light on plot and it's pretty cookie cutter. Though I think we can kind of talk about each beats to say where the film was as it begins. But before we even get to that, so we know it was filmed in '99. It didn't get released officially till 2002. It bombed at the box office. It had a budget of $55 million due to reshoots and probably Sly's $20 million cut, and it only made $6.5 million at the box office.
Well, it didn't even come out in domestically, right? That was all overseas.
It was released, in the UK. No, it was released September 20th in the States.
Wow.
It was like you went to the marquee and you saw "I See You" next to whatever was out in 2000, next to the Harry Potter film or whatever.
Do you think that there's any part of them just wanted to throw this in the trash? Or is it just like we put the money into it, so let's recoup?
DEJ, I think, was the final company. If DEJ didn't come in and buy the rights, we never would have seen this movie. It would have Universal buried it.
Yeah, they stripped their name off of it and everything.
Yeah, they were so embarrassed about it. Yeah, Universal Pictures actually disowned it, saying, "No, we have nothing to do with this film. Don't associate us with this film."
But you know what? They had a habit of doing that around that time because they were the original producers of House of a Thousand Corpses, the Rob Zombie movie that eventually got released by, I think, Lionsgate.
That actually made money, I'm sure.
Yeah. But so it seems like Universal was just making shit, and then they were like, it didn't come out the way we liked. Let's just shelf it.
Well, Doug, to speak to your point about rebooting or not original ideas, you're absolutely right. This is a victim of that. And like we're saying, this is a slasher film for adults, and it doesn't work. Slasher films are not meant for adults. Seeing adults killed by a serial killer or basically a cloaked or hidden figure, it's not scary. There's no stakes. They're all, some of them are near death anyways, the victims. And so there's no stakes when adults die in films the way teenagers are in peril.
There wasn't a point. I know there's like a really loose arc that the Stallone character goes through. Most slasher films, they're about TNA, just 90 minutes of popcorn where you can sort of enjoy the gore. I think you're really on point there, Ryan, by saying that when it's adults, there's really no stakes. It's not interesting.
But what if it was like a Seven type of film? So you got this guy that's going around killing cops. You have the main character, FBI agent, whose wife gets killed by this cop killer. Just do that. Just follow that line until he gets caught or killed in the end.
Well, your budget would have skyrocketed because you wouldn't have been able to stay in that compound.
That was so ridiculous.
But before we get to this, I'm sure 95% of our listening audience has not seen this film. If they're listening to this, they probably wouldn't mind if we give a little bit of a plot what's going on here. So the movie opens up with Sly's character, which is named Malloy, Agent Jake Malloy. And no relation to Sean Malloy. He is buying a ring. Now, did you see the way he approached the ring at the counter? He was back like 5 feet, and he did that. This like, it can't be. Did you see that way he acted that? I thought, was he supposed to be funny there? He acted really weird about I don't want to say. He just acted very.
Oh, you're doing like a little Mr. Roper.
A Jack Tripper type behavior.
Yeah.
Before he went to get the ring, and he's like, "Oh, this ring's perfect," or whatever.
April Fool, right? You're kidding, right?
You've picked a very fine diamond, Mr. Malloy.
I'll tell you what. Throw in a car, I'll take it. Throw in a hand, I'll take it.
Perhaps a lesser gem would be more appropriate?
Nah, it's perfect.
Stallone's acting in this first third, I guess you want to call it, before he goes into the cop rehab. I think his acting there, aside from when he comes home to discover his wife's been murdered, when he's talking with the other cops in the bar and he's sort of running down the serial killer's methodology.
Look, I'd love to tell you we got this guy ready for a toe tag in the slab. I'd love to tell you that. But we're dealing with a whole different kind of street logic here. It's a whole different breed. There's no repeatable patterns. There's no identifiable method. He's targeting cops, different precincts, different times. Every site's clean. He's gonna up. They all do. And when he does, we'll nail him.
He was believable there. Like it actually seemed he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, the first third of this film, the first 35 minutes of this film before he enters rehab, D-Tox center, it was actually not a bad flick. I remember watching it thinking, okay, I know this film was hated by both fans of Sly and critics. I don't know why. I didn't read any reviews, but I just had that because I know Sly's films enough to know this was a stinker. So I never got around to seeing it. And so the first 20, 30 minutes, I was like, this isn't bad. This is okay. But anyways, it gets into what it gets into. So, okay, so he's at the bar with the cops, right? And they're having drinks, and it seems like just a normal standard affair of, hey, we're having drinks and da-da-da. They're crap talking each other. Doug, you're a cop, right? Do you guys get together for drinks at a bar and crap talk each other?
Not much these days. When I was new, we did. But
Sure.
We also, never mind.
Okay, I understand.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole.
But then one of the cops who both Malloy and this cop, apparently they were partners when Jake Malloy, played by Stallone.
The one that gets killed?
Yeah, we'll just say for argument's sake, Jake Malloy is Sly's character, but I'll just say Sly for the most part because it's just him, for our listening audience. So anyways, Sly's partner in the film, the guy in the film who's chirping at Sly saying, how come you haven't caught this cop killer? So essentially there's a killer on the loose who is literally killing cops from different precincts. Like he's not just picking one. He's like got this one on the north side, this one on the east side or whatever. So the FBI have been called in to, obviously this is a multi-precinct murder spree, like 9 cops in 6 months. FBI are on the case. It's his ex-partner who's still a cop saying to Sly, saying, hey, come on, man, what's up with the FBI? How come you haven't caught this guy yet? So that's how the film begins. So now the audience knows, okay, there's a cop killer on the loose. Sly's hot on the tail of this guy. Yeah, obviously this is something that's been going on. And then fast forward a few minutes, this same cop who chirped at Sly, he gets dropped off at home. The doorbell rings. He answers it. He looks through the eye hole first. And do you guys want to talk about how he died?
So ridiculous. The drill through the peephole.
Yeah.
Logistically, there's so many problems with it.
Please tell.
Unless you pre-drill it, you're not going to come right through right away, right? I mean, you're going to have to break the glass on the peephole. And then wouldn't the peephole pop out on your side? The drill wouldn't go straight through it.
We've all been hit in the eye with a piece of sand or some sort of whatever. And the moment your eyeball feels just a twinge of something, the automatic response is you whip your head back right away.
Yeah.
The amount of force and energy, it would take actual superhuman strength to drive the drill through the peephole fast enough for it to impale the eye, that the drill turning on and off would be irrelevant. It would just, it doesn't matter if it's a drill or not. You could use a screwdriver, you could use a pencil, because the amount of force, the screwing of the electronic drill is irrelevant at that point. You'd be pushing it faster through the hole than you can screw it. But whatever, it's a movie. So the guy looks in the hole and he keeps his eye in there long enough to get his eye drilled. Already as a Sly film fan person, this is a different kind of film. That's a slasher kill, guys. So now we're in slasher film mode. But then he drops back, and then the same cop is, crawling on the floor away from the door, but the door opens, and this hooded figure comes in, whatever, shadow figure, you can't quite see his face, pulls out a silencer gun, of course, classic silencer weapon, shoots the cop. So that's what we see there, and then we go to the girlfriend's house with Sly, or the Sly in the girlfriend's house.
Yeah, and he proposes to her, right?
No, he says he got a surprise for her. He hasn't proposed to her yet.
Lucky for you, I've been out there checking out the competition, and pickings are pretty damn slim, so I was thinking, what the hell? Why not stay with me?
Trying to tell me something, huh?
Maybe. Maybe not. I have a surprise. I got this great surprise, but it's going to have to keep around. I'm going to give it to you, but I want to have a clear head when I...
But she senses that the proposal's coming. He has the ring, but he didn't say that he has the ring. He didn't even mention it to her. He's just, in the future, I've got a surprise for you. And she's like, oh, tee-hee-hee, I wonder what it could be. Kind of
she's great. That's Dina Meyer, who was another big actress around that time. She was in Starship Troopers, and she was in Johnny Mnemonic.
She was in the Saw films.
Oh, right. Yeah. She was a great actress. It was cool seeing her.
Did you look up the age difference between Sly and...
Absolutely, I did. Absolutely. 20 years.
What was Sly? Was Sly 50 something here?
He was 52.
52?
Yeah, and she would have been she was about 32 in this film. Now, to be a little bit fair to Sly's character, a 20-year difference isn't crazy. This is his second relationship. He's been divorced. We get a little dialogue there where it turns out that Sly's character is divorced.
How was Donovan's?
How do you know it was at Donovan's?
I called.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. It was my imitation of your ex-wife.
Ouch. Come on, don't go there.
She's the new girlfriend, so she's a younger, hotter version than his ex-wife.
So he was working for the FBI at this point, right?
Yeah, so he's an FBI guy now.
Again, this is Sly the actor versus the character. Aren't there mandatory retirement ages, especially for FBI agents?
I have a theory. So he's 52 as an FBI agent, which I think is a fine age. I think 52-year-old FBI agents are there, obviously. I think the divorce led to the career change.
Like as an FBI agent, especially, he was still a field agent, right? If he was playing a 52-year-old in the movie, he's like 3 years away from retirement.
What is the retirement age for FBI agents? I don't know.
20 years from data hire.
Yeah, so this is the problem. Yes, Craig, you're absolutely right. So we have to believe that Sly thinks he looks younger than he is. And I'm sick of it, okay? Because no, he's in good shape. Don't get me wrong, he's in good shape. But for a 52-year-old, let's all hope I'm in that kind of shape at 52. He looks fantastic. We saw some shirtless, on the bed there. He looks fine. He looks great, but he looks 50. Maybe 49, but still he's 50. He's 52, and 52 is 52. It just is what it is. He's not 38.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, so yes, you're right. I think his character was supposed to be younger. I think if we see Dina Meyer and they have a little love talk and it's like everything's really dandy. The next day, he gets a his pager, still the pager mode of the films here.
They discover the
the pager alert comes up and says murder or whatever, and so he goes to the house and he sees this
murder, death, kill.
Yeah, he's a murder, death, kill. So he goes to the guy's house that was killed the night before. The guy that was tripping at him in the bar, he's now dead. As a viewer, the last thing that we saw that he was shot on the floor. But now what we're seeing is he's now hanging in the air, really quite a grotesque fashion. So this really comes in out of the very, like Doug was saying, the very Seven-like moment.
This was the moment that gave me that vibe, that Seven vibe. And I would hope that they would stay with it.
Well, you'd have to have talented actors like Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and a director like David Fincher, and writers. Isn't that interesting how a writer director can dictate the success of a film? This isn't Sly's fault. I think we've talked about this before many times in other podcasts of Sly films. Is when the director sucks. It's amazing. Look at Quentin Tarantino. He writes amazing films, and he's an amazing director, and he can take what would almost be a standard scene from another director. He just makes it Quentin Tarantino. I don't know how he.
In all fairness to Mr. Gillespie here.
Oh, wow. You're being fair?
Well, no, I mean, from every indication, I Know What You Did Last Summer is a competently made movie. It was
horror film, slasher flick. Yes, it's in its genre, it's pinch and hold genre of a teen slasher flick. It's fine.
And this film, I See You, D-Tox, went through a substantial amount of reshoots. Now, how involved with those reshoots was he?
Apparently, Ron Howard oversaw some of that.
Well, Howard's dad has a cameo here. If Matt's listening, I know Matt was really excited a year or two ago when the director's cut of this movie came out. I know there's a write-up online, but I didn't bother to look to see what the differences were. But apparently it's a substantially different movie.
Was it really a director's cut? Who would put the time and effort into releasing a director's cut of this pile of shit?
It was within like the last 2 years.
That's right. I forgot about that.
A legitimate Blu-ray director's cut. I don't want to put all the blame on Jim Gillespie here is all I'm saying.
There's a part of me that's very curious to watch that director's cut. I'm not going to lie. Now that I've just seen this, I'd be just curious what a director's cut of this film would offer me. Release the Jim Gillespie cut.
Let's get a Twitter movement going.
And people will be like, it's been released for 3 years now, guys.
Yeah, it's 4 hours and it ends on a cliffhanger that will never be resolved.
Oh, boy. So speaking of the kill, for those who haven't seen the film, the individual, the cop that's been killed, he has his arms and his legs tied behind his back, almost like an arachnid spider type, attached both to the wrists and the ankles, hanging from the ceiling with a baton shoved down his throat. Now, this is a one-man job, apparently. You give me $100,000, I don't think I could put a body in that position overnight and have it mounted on the ceiling.
Use like a pulley system.
I can barely screw a light bulb in, man. I don't know how he got that guy up there. Where was he? He was just hanging from the ceiling. I guess he drilled some holes through the beams, I guess.
Yeah, he found the support beam, probably constructed some kind of pulley system. Maybe he had something he brought in, like a pulley system on wheels with the whole...
Like one of those engine block.
Things.
Well, I know you guys are being silly, but one of the biggest flaws of this film. Oh, you are being silly. Don't tell me you're being serious.
I'm being dead serious.
But one of the biggest flaws of this film is you can't decide, is it a psychological thriller or is it a teen slash film? Because the guy that's doing the killing and in which the manner in which he does them requires superhuman strength. We talked about with the drill through the door, and now we're talking about it with mounting this guy, bending his limbs backwards, post-mortem, and all this stuff. It's actual superhuman strength for a one-man job to do the kills and to put the bodies in the positions that he does so quickly, and to put himself back in a position where we as a viewing audience later in the film don't know who he is. How does he get around so much without any blood on him? Come on, guys.
Yeah. Now, and also, what was the purpose of it? Was it so that when Dina Meyer gets killed and she's hanging there, they could make a visual connection? I mean, you could just leave like a playing card or some other stupid gimmick at the scene.
He does with the cops in the rehab center. He writes under their eyelids.
Yeah. No, so what's the purpose? What's the purpose of hanging them? If that's not how you're killing them, if you're going to identify yourself as the killer anyway through some cheap gimmick, why expend all that energy?
Well, that's another thing. Is it starts out like the first two victims gets their eyes drilled out.
Right.
And then,
that's his calling card. The eyes are gone. I see you.
Okay, yeah, I see you. Right, with eye. And then later on in the movie, he's just hanging people. He's killing them. Like the one guy gets drugged. The other guy, another guy gets His throat cut.
Yeah, we're gonna get to. You're right. So
you're taking too long.
No,
you really are.
Guys, we've been recording for 22 minutes. Our average episode's an hour and a half long. We've been recording for 20. I know the movie's a drag, but we got to give our listening audience something here. Okay, and I'm not meaning to take long. I think the first 20 minutes of the film is the most unpack. To be fair, and then once we get to the clinic, it's really just a standard 1x1 slasher film. Because I think the whole first third of the film is actually the only part of the film I want to talk about. Fine, you want to talk about the last half of the film? Bunch of cops. The guy that's a killer kills them all. He gets discovered who he is. He dies at the end. Stallone and his would-be girlfriend walk away. That is the rest of the film. But I think leading up to the D-Tox part is actually not the most interesting part to talk about, but it actually has the most plot holes because keep in mind this guy has done these killings. Like now Stallone is at the site as he's at the crime scene. Sorry, and he's there. It's like, oh, I can't believe this cop is dead. I was just having drinks with him last night. You know, da 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 da.
Friend of yours?
Yeah, long time.
I can't find any sign of gunpowder tattooing. Shooter was most likely several feet back.
He was in whispering distance.
See the starburst splitting on his skin here, Doc? Gun was pressed directly against the head. Killer wanted him to feel the barrel.
9 dead cops inside of 6 months. If this was 9 dead feds we were talking about, yeah, that would be a different goddamn story.
Let's cut him down. How long do you plan to have him hang there?
I don't think Junior here is finished analyzing the body.
What do you think you're gonna find? We haven't been able to find anything yet. What do you think you're gonna find? And why don't you get that club out of his throat? He's
Let me handle this, okay?
Fine.
Charles Dutton's there, great actor. He's there playing.
Yes, Charles S. Dutton.
Charles S. Dutton. My apologies.
Original Rock.
That's right. Great comedy show. I loved it. We find out later that they're partners. They didn't do a very good job establishing that until later.
Well, he was in the bar scene, wasn't he?
No, I don't think he was.
Are
there.
you sure?
Maybe if he was, I didn't notice him because I was looking for him because I knew he was in the film. But he might. Maybe I missed him.
Maybe he shows up for the first time in this scene where they're at the.
I think so. Okay, so the phone rings and they're like, "Hey, Malloy, Sly's character. Hey, Malloy, it's for you." Of course, it's like then the killer comes onto the phone. It's
you know what was funny about that? You could sort of hear the killer's voice on the phone, right? And it had the modulation on it.
Hello, I'm speaking to Agent Malloy.
It's for you.
Like, how did that cop answer the phone and not be like? No, but what I'm saying, you could hear the other voice on the other end of the phone when the cop's there. When the cop answers it, and I swear you hered the modulated voice be like,
I see what you're saying.
Okay. I'm looking for Jake Malloy.
Maybe he just thought it was one of those smoker boxes, you know? Is Jake Malloy there? Jake goes on the phone. Of course, it goes right into the dialogue for the audio.
I want to play a game.
Yeah. It's that modulated voice. We don't know who the killer is, blah, blah, blah.
It's Malloy.
You and your friend were out late last night.
Who is this?
Tell me, Malloy, what do you see in that dead cop's eyes? Do you see recrimination? Because it's your fault.
Who is this?
They've all gone to their resting place because of you.
What are you talking about?
We'll get to that. But first things first. You know, she's got a lovely place here. Nice neighborhood. It almost looks safe. Until now.
And he's saying
you should have stayed home and
but here's the connection.
Not done your job.
So why is he asking for Jake, you say, audience? Why is he picking on Jake? Now he's at Jake's house to kill his fiance, soon-to-be fiance, his girlfriend. And the reason why, now there's the motive. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a motive for the killer. Okay, here's the motive. The motive is, ladies and gentlemen, Jake, when he was a cop, thwarted this guy's killings of prostitutes.
I'm sorry, but Mary can't come to the phone right now.
What do you want?
You're the agent in charge of my case, aren't you?
That's right, so whatever you gotta do, why don't you just do it to me?
I am doing it to you, Malloy. And I'm doing it to her.
So you still haven't told me what you want?
4 years ago, you were in charge of an investigation of a series of murders. Atrocities against prostitutes. I call it removing diseased filth. You got very close to getting me. You'd rather protect them and remove me. You made my life hell. So now, I'm returning the favor.
Keep him talking, Jake.
Hunting the hunters. I won't live long. The odds are against that. So what time I have left, I will dedicate to you. I'll always be close, like hide and seek. Now, about Mary. To kill a man is easy, but kill what he loves, and he dies 1,000 times.
Please don't hurt her. Please.
I'll see you, but you won't see me.
He just wanted to kill boys.
So this guy was out there killing prostitutes. He never got caught.
Mm-hmm.
Sly's character never caught him.
But he took offense to the fact that he was being
investigating.
The fact that he was the lead investigator on a serial killer of prostitutes bent him so far out of shape that he ceased killing the prostitutes.
Yeah, what a weird pivot.
And pivoted to killing cops. Killed 9 cops, I think, in 6 months before telling Jake Malloy, I've killed these 9 cops and your ex-partner and your soon-to-be ex-fiance, dead fiance, all because you thwarted my killing of prostitutes. That is his motive.
Was the end game to kill Jake Malloy or to make him suffer?
I think it was
by
a combination. Well, he killed his girlfriend to make.
Well, he killed his girlfriend. After that, what else are you going to do? He didn't have any other family. That's it. Game over. Like,
yeah, he killed his girl because he says the best thing. The killer that we don't know who it is yet, as far as this film's concerned. We haven't been introduced yet. The killer, he says, the only way to live is to watch the last life of someone's before they die. Look in their eyes before they die. Like, classic. Oh, you're so evil. Anyway, so there you go. So he calls out, he's at my house. He's at my house. And Charles S. Dunton's character right away goes, 3111 whatever street. I don't even know my address that quickly. This guy knows his partner's address.
So they could set up a phone trace.
The cops will go to the house, right, to Jake Malloy's
Well, not
house.
a phone trace. Yeah, just so they could get there.
Just so they could get there because there's pre-GPS, right? So anyway, so by the time Sly's character gets to the house is already full of at least 30 to 50 cops. Charles S. Dunton's already there. Why did it take? Why is Sly the last one there?
I question a lot about this scene too because he knows what he's walking into as well. I guess that's something you'd want to see for yourself. They all part like the Red Seas too. Like, don't you think anybody would be like, hey, you don't want to see this, or there's no reason for you to see this? I'd like to think if I was on that scene, I'd show a little bit of empathy and a little bit of human compassion there.
Doug stepped away from the camera, so we'll ask him the question when he comes back. My question is really for the police officer in our midst is what would be the protocol if it's a police officer's spouse or friend or at a crime scene? Right, so Doug, we actually do have a legit question for you. Heaven forbid it's one of your friends, but let's just say one of your friends, a coworker, their spouse gets killed, their girlfriend gets killed. You're already at a crime scene with that same individual's spouse or family member gets killed. How close into that crime scene can they go into? They rush back to the residence because you always see in the TV shows, oh, you're too close to this case.
Like a conflict of interest type of situation?
I understand that's their dead wife or father or whatever.
Or just crime scene contamination you're talking about, Ryan?
A combination of that, and for all we know, there could have been. Isn't family always the first suspect to begin with?
I suppose, but they usually wouldn't put a cop whose friend or relative got killed because you can't let personal feelings get in the way of an investigation. You have to keep it as...
When all those cops part for him, they part, like I said to Ryan, they part like the Red Seas to let him through. Would you be more inclined to be like, hey, you don't need to see this, or there's no reason for you to see this, or is that something you just step back and say, hey...
You could try to be like, listen, you don't want to go in there, but okay. I mean, think about it. Would you let anybody stop you?
No, but I'd make the attempt, right?
Yeah.
Sly's character goes into the bedroom or living room wherever she was killed, and now she's hanging from a noose, so another hanging victim. So she's hanging, her eyes drilled out or shot or both. I don't know. So she's hanging. He picks her down, and again, still so far you're kind of like, okay, it's that slasher kill, 7 like kills. Okay, it's not too bad. Whatever. It is 1999. I keep that in mind. I don't care when it was released. It was filmed in 99.
Yeah. Well, and if it took place today, how do you drill through a Ring doorbell, a Ring camera?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Now, so this is a very busy day for Sly's character. And so now another call comes in. He's at this scene. So we've got the murder in the morning of the cop. And then now we've got the murder of his girlfriend. And now another call comes in saying, we've got him. We've got him. And how did they get him? They got him because he was wearing some sort of Kevlar vest or something with blood on it or something.
What's the story?
outside the yard, covered in blood, dressed in SWAT gear. Son of a bitch didn't say a word, just opened fire.
God, okay?
Took one in the leg. Lost a lot of blood. Was able to call for backup before he passed out.
Let's not forget the part, the old trope, keep him on the phone. We almost got him.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Now they go to where it's like a classic factory, abandoned warehouse or whatever. So they go to this
a Saw-like location.
I don't even remember what brought them there. What was it?
Well, that's what I mean. I'll insert
Neither did I, Doug, until Ryan just said it was a phone call saying that they found him.
Yeah, it wasn't a phone call. It was like a cop came running in. They've got him. They've got him. So they're at the crime scene. Someone's just killed a cop, and someone's just killed my girlfriend, and this person was the prostitute killer that I was chasing. I hope we get this guy one day, and literally within an hour, they've caught the guy, which I guess if he truly has blood all over him, but there's been no witnesses. So if I'm like Joe Blow in downtown whatever city, and I see some guy walking around with blood on him, I'm not going to just call in and say, hey, I heard you guys had 2 killings today. I think this might be your... I don't know how the APB went out on this guy. There's no indication there's any witnesses who saw what he looked like. But anyways, they got him. Within an hour, they got this guy. Now, again, all the SWAT and cop cars are at this new location. And already I'm thinking, well, Sly can't go to this. His headspace is not... now, for real, his mental health is not appropriate for work. He's carrying a weapon. He'll be an issue for himself and for others. Your wife-to-be is dead. You are not coming on this run. But of course, they bring him in the cop car. And the one credit I'll give to the to the writers and to the director is at least they showed Sly's character being distraught. At least they showed that his headspace was effed up. They did show it because he looked like he was like, oh, the world's actually spinning around him a little bit.
That could have been Sly, for all we know.
What do you mean? Like him
saying, hey, this is how I need to react. I mean,
he could have said, look, this is crazy that I'm here, so I'm going to show that I shouldn't be here, but I'm here anyways. So that was a bit of credibility for me at that moment where it's like, okay, at least they're showing like he shouldn't be there. His head is not screwed on right. But lo and behold, he's there, and this is the problem because he starts wandering around looking for the guy, whatever.
He gets separated from everybody. Like,
well, he goes on his own arbitrary looking for this guy.
Does this have to be one of those cases of like movie coincidence?
Well, this is where it gets very murky because this mastermind killer, he's purposely been found, and this is so okay. So we see a shadow figure in a window up high where Stallone is. Stallone sees this figure. He sees this guy like, oh, there he is. So he goes on a foot chase to get this guy. The guy shoots, so they're doing like a very Seven, like, yeah, talk about Seven, a very like off in the distance shooting back and forth at each other. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy has lured Stallone's character to the warehouse. It's a credible trap that he's involved all this police force. He's done enough that he has called himself to get caught by the police, but he's far enough away that he's not been caught by the police.
His thing is that he's always close enough where he can watch what's going on. He can be like a voyeur, but not be seen by anybody else.
But a real call went out to the police force saying, we've got him, but they don't have him. They had a sighting. We're led to believe that he's somehow trapped in this location because they got him, but he's running around on the loose.
I really wish we were a video podcast right now, Ryan, because your whole way you expressed yourself during that was beautiful.
Oh,
hand gestures, eye gestures. It was wonderful to watch.
Yeah, thank you. And then, so Sly's character sees what we believe is the killer, right? And he does a foot chase through the warehouse. The bad guy shoots at him. Are we led to believe he's missing on purpose? If that's the case, then, so he pounds. So Sly's character then gets to the very end of the chase, pounds open a door, sees a body. I'm not a police officer, Doug. You are. My understanding is one of the first things you train in weapons training is you make sure whatever you're shooting at, you know what you're shooting at.
Yeah.
Sly breaks, you could say, yeah, his headspace is, we know it's effed up. I understand that. But he's a veteran FBI agent at this point. He
doesn't even give like the bullshit Cobra drop the weapon.
No, he busts opens the door. Yeah, he busts opens the door, sees a body, and just shoots it. Now, it turns out the body is hanging. Whose body is that? We're led to believe as the viewer that is the killer, that somehow he had a foot chase against Sly, hung himself, chained him.
I was thinking that the killer set Sly up at this point.
That's what I thought. I thought it was supposed to be that he killed an innocent person. You know who I thought that was? I thought that was the guard that made the call and he got captured. There's two things happening. The person that's hanging on the chain, we're led to believe that he committed suicide and then got shot by Sly's character. But I thought it was an innocent person that it was put there that Sly shot by accident. Then he was going to go to some sort of mental hospital jail. That's where I thought I was going to go.
I had a little bit of a whirlwind of emotions during this part too, because I couldn't make heads or tails of it. I thought that the person hanging there was wearing like a SWAT uniform. Yeah. So then I thought, oh shit, this guy took this guy, tied him up, and Sly just killed him. But then I thought, wait, maybe the guy killed him and hung him up just as a dummy for something to trip up Sly to get him to shoot something when he came through the door. But none of it made any sense. Except if he did tie up like an innocent person and just hang him there, when Sly bursted through the door, he pretty much just killed somebody. But it was never addressed.
It was never addressed. Now, according to Wikipedia, the plot that was provided by whoever on Wikipedia, it just says this, that Malloy pursues the killer in that warehouse only to find that he appears to have committed suicide. But we as a viewer, because we're not idiots, the three of us, but we're thinking in movie.
Well, that's debatable.
Well, not complete morons. Can we go with that? Because we're literally, there was just a foot chase. There wasn't enough time for somebody to hang themselves. Like even if he wanted to be killed by cop, he didn't have enough time to put this on me. Got to put this on me. Hang myself up. Play dead. He gets shot by Sly's character, right? I thought at that moment that he had killed an innocent, or at the very least shot his weapon without thinking. A guy, shot a dead body already, which still can't look good for a police officer, because either way, it was somebody hanging that he shot. That's going to look bad on the police officer. But we see 3 months later, and when it said 3 months later, I thought, oh, he's in jail. He's either in jail or he's in some sort of mental hospital. No, he's sitting in a bar getting drunk.
Your typical Hollywood bar too, like that is the quintessential Hollywood designed bar. Huge open space. I was like, oh my God, that looks so much like a movie bar. Maybe that is the movie bar. Like that's the bar they use. And then Charles S. Dutton does the stupidest effing thing.
You buying shares in this place?
Hey, kill me again.
Listen to me. I've been digging around. There's this place out in Wyoming. It's a detox center. Just hear me out this time. It's run by a former cop, 4 cops.
You know, if she never met me, never knew me, she'd still be alive. I'm where I want to be, where I should be. That's where I am.
Okay. I'll make you a deal. You blow your brains out like a damn man and stop pissing on Mary's memory one sorry-ass day at a time, and I'll take care of your tab. What the fuck what's the matter with you? What's the matter? It's all right, everybody. It's all right. It's a little accident. Everybody relax. What's the matter with you? Whether you like it or not, you still got a life to live. It doesn't end here.
Doug, is it wise to give a suicidal cop a loaded weapon and say, "Why don't you just kill yourself like a man"? Is that what they is that what they teach you in reverse psychology, in cop reverse psychology?
As if the movie wasn't ridiculous up to this point, it just takes on a whole new level.
And then he gets pissed when he shoots it into the ceiling.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you wanted him to kill himself. Like, are you mad that he didn't kill himself?
He didn't think he'd actually let off a round inside the bar.
Him shooting the weapon into the ceiling was actually the most surprising part of the whole film. Probably the most entertaining part of the whole film was him actually taking
and then what does Charles S. Dutton says? He says it's okay, folks. Just a joke.
It was an
something.
accident. He said it was an accident.
Can you imagine someone shooting a gun in a bar? How panicky you would be at that moment?
And was anybody above there? Like a lot of bars have apartments above them. Is some guy there watching TV and all of a sudden a bullet comes flying through his floor?
Can you imagine like shot a baby sleeping?
Oh my God.
That's where this movie could have gone. One ridiculous moment after another. Not only is he not in jail, he still has a job. He's still a full-fledged police. He's still an FBI agent.
He's on leave though, right?
Sure. But
I don't think that was even stated.
No, because when he went to the detox center, he handed in his gun and badge, which is your classic. When you have your gun and badge, that pretty much indicates I am still a licensed active officer.
I'm trying to think. The guys that I've known a few guys that have been suspended, and they've had to turn in their gun. I don't think they've ever had to turn in their badge.
Is it possibly different, Doug, if you're suspended with pay or without pay?
Yeah, it might be.
But he handed in his weapon and his badge at the detox center, so he had both regardless.
Mm-hmm. Was this scene in the bar before or after he breaks into his old apartment or his old house? And
it was before. He shoots the gun in the air, and then he goes to his house that's now been emptied. You know, it's for whatever reason is now empty, and he goes into the living room where his girlfriend was killed. Mm-hmm. And this was actually a moment where I was like, "Oh, this was kind of like wow." Sly slits his wrists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, speaking of 14-year-old slasher films, this is very emo of him to start
but
cutting.
He knows better. It was a bullshit suicide attempt. He went left to right instead of up and down. Yeah, it was a cry for help, kill, or attempt. Amateur hour.
Yeah, it was. He cut his wrist to feel the pain. The pain is real. So the next scene, I guess, is him and Dutton driving to the facility.
Cops only rehab facility.
And apparently there used to be 100 there at one point. Now there's just 10.
Which is good. I guess they're doing their job. They're churning and burning, man. They're helping these officers through their trauma and getting them back on the streets.
But there's nothing more dark and dank about
Wyoming in the winter.
Yeah, not just Wyoming in the winter, which is depressing in itself, but you're trying to dig these people out of the deepest, darkest holes in their lives, and you put them in this underground missile silo where it's just dark, no daylight getting in. Like, how is that supposed to lift anybody's spirits?
Yeah, I love how they explain. So Chris Christopherson in a thankless role. In fact, everyone's role in this film is thankless. They have a pretty good plethora of actors. You've got Tom Berenger. You've got, of course, the great Robert Patrick. You've got...
Which is he reunited with Sly after Copland.
That's right. You've got Jeffrey Wright, great actor.
Early Jeffrey Wright, too, right? I think the first thing I remember Jeffrey Wright in was Shaft, 2000.
Well, mine was actual Angels in America on HBO was, I think, where I first saw it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doug, can you outdo that?
No, this was probably the first thing I've ever seen him in.
Oh, do you watch Westworld? He's in that.
Oh, he's the guy.
Yeah, that's him.
He also played Felix Leiter in the Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Great actor. Actually, he's a great actor. So this is
he's a tremendous actor.
Yeah. So this is
no, this is loaded. If you see this cast on paper, you're like a movie guy. You probably have to change after you read the cast list because you're making a mess.
Sly is the king of incredible ensemble casts that produce nothing.
Don't deliver. With the exception of Copland, right?
And I have it's funny. I love that movie, but I still have my issues with it. I feel like there's so much. I said it during our review of that it would have been better served as a miniseries. The same way that Sean Malloy thought The Expendables was like that. I feel that way about Copland. Copland had incredible characters that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, everybody needed to be developed at their own pace.
It was too much going on. There's just too much going on for a 2-hour movie.
We run a dual diagnosis program here. It's a fancy way of saying we're going to detox your ass and then tackle your demons head on in group sessions. I was a cop for 12 years before I took a shot at drinking myself to death. So I know what keeps you up at night.
Gonna make it all go away, huh?
Not even gonna try. No magic wands here. The shit you swallowed doesn't digest. You carrying a weapon, Mr. Malloy? I'll have to confiscate it. Need the shield, too.
So Chris Christopherson here basically explains we're going to get you off your alcohol addiction. We're going to deal with your alcohol addiction first and then treat your everything else, right? Isn't that how he explains it?
Sure. I think at this point we'll just say whatever we want because we are hitting. Well, actually, I haven't hit the hour mark yet, but we're getting.
He's going to have him detox, basically. Like you're going to go cold turkey, and then we'll deal with all the mental shit behind it.
So we have a nurse there, of course. We have one nurse that works there, and she's overworked, of course. And she, of course, is pretty.
Let's get your blood and urine sample. See what we're up against. Our resident psychiatrist was an Air Force consultant here for 4 years.
I'll take that.
When the facility shut down, she signed on with us. She's pulling double duty as a nurse until we get fully staffed.
We used to take care of almost 100 patients here. There's only 10 of you cops. But judging from your case files, I don't think anyone's going to be bored.
I love how quickly a bond forms between her and Sly's character.
Even though there are younger people there that she could connect with.
Yeah. But no, Sly's an old, wise soul. But again, we're led to believe he's probably 38 in the film. I guarantee you. They think he's 38. That's supposed to be his character's age. Maybe 40. Now, I've seen her somewhere before. Her name's Polly Walker. And I will say she was the best part of the film. I liked her.
Everybody was forgettable. Every single character was forgettable from beginning to end.
Wow.
So Polly Walker, whatever the hell her name is, fell out of my brain the second that movie ended.
A lot of wasted cast. Stephen Lang was in it. Do you ever watch? You ever watch Tombstone? One of my favorite films of all times. La don't go around here no more, la dog.
Stephen Lang was the bad guy in Avatar.
Yes, he was in that as well. That's him. Yeah, he's also in that other one. He's in that horror film. Speaking of horror films, what was it called? Where he plays a blind guy in a house.
Oh yeah, and he up all those kids.
That's a great film. He's a great actor. He's one of those great character actors. He was wasted in this film.
He also did a movie with Jason Momoa called Braven, which is, I think it's on Netflix, and we watched it on Amazon Prime. I think he either plays his father-in-law, his father, and he's suffering from dementia.
Okay.
But if you haven't watched Braven, totally in our wheelhouse here. It's a great action movie. It's like a 90-minute kind of Rambo-esque, like an underrated Jason Momoa gem, if those exist.
And we had, I like Jason Momoa. He's all right. Robert Prosky, the old gentleman who played that RCMP officer.
That's a face you've seen like a million times.
Yeah, he's been in tons of stuff. Broadcast News, Far and Away.
With Ron Howard.
That's the Ron Howard connection. Yeah, he was actually in Last Action Hero, Mrs. Doubtfire. He's been in tons of Miracle on 34th Street, 94 version. He played the judge. Now, it's funny because he plays a 30-year veteran. This is where the ages really mess. I don't understand why they cast him for this. He's a 30-year veteran of the RCMP. He's 68 in the film. So that means he
started when he was 38.
Now, though it's possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, not impossible.
No, but because I work in the same government as RCMP, the mandatory retirement age for military is 60. So there's no way RCMP is any different. I don't think they are. It's no way they would let a 68. So at this point in this poor guy's career, and I will say his kill, the one that he got electrocuted. Remember that part? He got electrocuted by the killer in this film. And I would say his kill was the most brutal. I felt so bad for this old man getting just beaten to death. And then he was electrocuted. Why do they have an electrocution table there?
Whatever purpose that silo used to serve, right?
Yeah, wasn't it like prison of some sort before
it was an Air Force test base.
Come on. Let's get you checked in. The place was built in the 50s. It's a command and control center for Strategic Air Command. Satellites made the facility obsolete, so they converted it to a military asylum. Uncle Sam put it on the market last year. It's isolated as hell, and that's why it chose it. You're the last of our patients to arrive.
Oh, see, that shows you how much I was paying attention.
But there happened to be a workable, lethal. Okay, so there's 10 cops from 10 different backgrounds with very light character development in this facility that operates like a prison, essentially. There's nothing in it but concrete and steel. They live in basically cells. There's no windows. So, yeah.
And it's Breslin's job to figure out how to get out. Oh, no. Wrong movie.
Yeah. It almost acts more like a prison. Well, I guess a lot of rehabs are in some sense, but there's no windows. It's in the tundra. Of course, it's winter. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the film, we are now going to spoil who the killer is. The killer is one of these 10 cops.
Well, he's not a cop, though.
What was he again?
Do you remember the part where the guy comes floating up in the icy lake? That guy was the real... What the hell was his name? Scotty or Smitty or whatever
Frank Slater.
Like
Frank Slater.
So he stole Slater's identity.
Yeah, he killed Slater, threw him in the lake, stole his identity, and showed up at the D-Tox.
Okay, that's right. So help me out with the timeline, guys, okay? Sly is taken to this facility by Charles S. Dutton's character, right? How did this killer know that this was happening?
It was probably in the paper, right? Disgraced FBI agent going into rehab in Wyoming.
Did they advertise that stuff, though? People's medical?
No.
This is what I don't understand. Let's go back to the beginning of the film. When they're at the pub, they're at the bar. Remember, he says, I see you, you don't see me. The killer, ladies and gentlemen, not only is he imitating one of these cops, not only does he have a human or superhuman strength to do the killings that he did before the facility and at the facility, he was actually one of the kitchen staff, bartenders at the pub that the cops were at. And the reason why you could argue that how he knew that Malloy was going to go to this facility was he heard the chatter with the cops at the bar. So he then goes up and says, well, I'm not a cop, so I can't get to this facility. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to somehow hide myself, kill a cop, steal his identity, somehow trick the doc at the facility that I am indeed this person, because I guess they wouldn't have any pictures of me. It's just name only.
But why?
Then his game is I'm going to F up his detox plan by killing people around him. Then he'll be my last kill.
Isn't that so incredibly risky, though? If you're in a facility that is everybody else there is law enforcement agent of some kind that comes with a certain amount of training and a certain skill set, to steal a line from Liam Neeson, it's not like you're picking off Sly's fiance here. I mean, you've got deer that are going to shoot back potentially.
Even more than that, Frank Slater, the character or the person that he took the identity from, he's actually a British police officer. So now we have to argue, did this impersonator fake the British accent? Now, the actor who played the British officer or faked that identity is actually from Britain. So the actor didn't have to fake the accent. But did the character fake the accent to do that identity? Because the doc would have to know that this guy's from Britain. It was said in the show.
Well, wouldn't the modulator pick up the British? I kind of feel like if you used one of those modulators, if you had an accent,
he's an American worker. All he was a killer who lived in America, and he took a job at the pub that the cops worked at so he could track Jake Malloy. He was an American speaker. He then took on a British voice to impersonate the cop that he killed so he came to the facility. I'm honestly, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this episode, if you're still listening, I'm not making any of this up. This is what happened in the film.
That's a big if. I would like to highlight, if we can,
sure,
some good acting performances. Can we talk a little bit about Robert Patrick and Sean Patrick Flannery?
Who had a very small role.
Very small, but very, I thought, impactful.
Sean Patrick Flannery is basically, he's a footnote now. I mean, there's probably people that are watching that unless they watch Boondock Saints, they have no idea, or they're not going to be like, oh my God, it's the young Indiana Jones guy.
Well, he is coming out with a movie this year.
An MMA movie.
Yeah, called Born.
Didn't he go down like the Mickey Rourke route with the face? Like I remember when they made the Boondock Saints sequel, he looked different. He had Mickey Rourked himself up.
He does look like a little bit of a Mickey Rourke prodigy. Yeah. Well, he's 55 now already. Okay. Wow. A little bit older than I thought. Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, this movie came out 23 years ago, so.
But his part when he was talking about the trauma that he went through was descriptive, disturbing.
They told me to put him in the bag. The pieces. They're so tiny. Little fingers. Every once in a while I'd get a whole hand or part of a leg. Mostly blood. It was everywhere. And little fingers were rolling around. I dropped it. I tried to gather them up. There was so much blood. I could still smell it. 21 preschoolers were blown to pieces. Some of the fingers still had paint on them. They were finger painted when it happened.
And utterly pointless in a movie like this.
True.
No, I mean, seriously, to get back to the...
Oh, I keep forgetting he played Powder And he was also, speaking of the Saw connection, he was in Saw 3D with Dina Meyer. Yeah, and Robert Patrick, great actor, wasted on this film.
He did a great job. The moment when he knew that he was going to die, his face changed. He was like the badass, loudmouth, shit talker the whole time. But the moment that he knew he was going to die, everything changed.
Yeah, a little cliche, but it was a job well done by him. That's right.
Yeah. Look, we're getting blood from a stone here, fellas. So let's highlight where we can highlight.
How soon did you know it was the British guy was the killer? Be honest.
Probably not as soon as I should have. Yeah. Admittedly, this movie didn't hold my attention very well.
I knew, obviously, there was one at the Circle of 10, obviously. And my mind was already going, like, if it's one of these...
They set it up to be Tom Berenger, and they also set it up to be Jeffrey Wright. Those are the two...
No, it was Stephen Lang's character, because he was crazy, because he killed his North Korean commander, or whatever. North Korea, he killed his officer.
Yeah.
Maybe you should tell them about Jack.
Hey, lady, what the hell is he talking about?
I don't know.
Bullshit. You tell him or I will.
Jenny, Doc's missing. 2 men are dead. Now, if there's something you need to tell us about Jack, now is the time.
You should check his service record.
Already did that. The guy was a patient here.
Oh, that's great.
The son of a bitch murdered his commanding officer over in South Korea. Strangling with his bare hands. He's a psycho.
We all know those are red herrings. They're misdirects. We understand that. We've seen enough films and know, of course, that's not who it is because we haven't seen them forever. I actually I'll tell you when I figured it out. It was when the guy kept being when the British impersonator was too nice to Sly. I forget which scene it was, but it was like, oh, it's him. He's being too understanding, too like, oh man, you know, the first night's the hardest. Maybe it was that one. You know, it's tough here, man. You know, and so it was then I'm like, oh, you're the killer. You're the killer.
I had a feeling early on because it was kind of the case of one of these things just doesn't belong here. You're in a room full of like wild, really over the top, crazy, mentally challenged individuals, guys that have gone through trauma. And then there's this one British guy who's stone faced and, you know, really didn't seem to have any trauma going on.
The big reveal was there's two things. So Sly, he discovered a match book from the pub,
from the bar,
in the room of the fake police officer or fake British officer. And then then he went to the body of one of the kills they had in the freezer. They were storing the dead bodies as they piled up in the meat freezer. He opened up the eyelids and he had this weird feeling. He's like, I thought he was going to perform an autopsy, but no. He happened like, oh, this guy's all about the eyes. I see you. So he's like, oh, he must be leaving a clue in the eyes. So he pulled up the eyelid, and one eyelid said "I," and the other eyelid said "see you" underneath the eyes.
That was the stupidest calling card trick I've ever seen because nobody looks under the goddamn eye.
No.
You're trying to send out a message to one individual. So right underneath the eyelid, who's ever going to see that?
Okay, guys.
Just do it on the front of the eye, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Guys, keep in mind, this British officer guy, who's now, we know he's the killer, he did this somehow, somewhere between this guy's death and before he went to the freezer found by the other. How did he lift up the eyelid, do all that artwork without being caught?
I'm angry.
Well, the votes came in, guys. Again, I wonder why people want us to review this one. I'm not sure.
We put up 3 piles of crap. One of them was going to win.
I actually think that this movie is sort of held in somewhat regard with fringe Stallone fans that got excited about the director's cut. And Doug, that's the reason the director's cut came out, because of fans like that are like, oh, but you haven't seen D-Tox. If you think Stallone's a bad actor, you haven't seen D-Tox. This movie's, it's held in regard by a certain section of the fandom.
Oh, we should have seen the director's cut.
We'll do a special episode on that.
No, I think it's over.
I think there's a website. It's like
I'm looking at it right now. There's people.
Is it movie censorship?
The first site that came up was called movie censorship.
Okay, because they do really, really good breakdowns of what's different between unrated and R-rated cuts. And I know that I read the first paragraph of this one. They said this is really unfair because the cuts are so different.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Now I'm kind of curious. Maybe I don't know. Maybe should we do like a mini bonus episode? Watch the director. Would you guys be up to watching the director's cut? I'm kind of curious.
Maybe there's a good movie in there. If there's a good movie in there, I would be open to it.
It would just be an appendage, but I mean, it wouldn't have to be a full hour and 20-minute discussion. But we could do like I'm kind of curious. I would say as a project, because we have nothing but time in our future doing these Stallone films, I think this might be a film where a director's cut of some notoriety did come out to salvage this film. It's basically released the Jim Gillespie, whatever his name is, cut. I'm quickly perusing the movie censorship site. It looks like they've done a great job. I don't want to read too much of it because I wouldn't mind kind of watching the film, but it looks like it's quite different extensively, enough that it's quite a lot to read of how it's different.
I might have a hard time remembering the theatrical cut then.
Well, you just use this website to remind yourself, I would say. But yeah, I hear you. I might put the feelers out there to see if anyone can get us a copy. Yep.
Hold on a minute, though. So it says the running time of this film is the director's cut is 1 hour 34 minutes and 41 seconds.
Okay.
It's the never before seen original version of ICU with its original title. Oh, so okay. So the original title is D-Tox.
That's the version I saw. It said D-Tox.
So Ryan, you probably watched the director's cut and didn't even realize it.
Are you serious?
Because it's 1 hour and 34 minutes and 41 seconds.
The call is coming from inside the house. Right?
Hold on, but it says they listed the director's cut of the film that is included on the disc in the special features. This version is the only surviving copy, and it was a VHS dub from an Avid edit. MVD has done a great job with taking this only source and ensuring it's the best possible quality by reframing out the timecode bars and giving us an anamorphic.
Did I watch the director's cut already?
Was it good?
Well, no, because it seems like our breakdown.
Okay.
We were talking about the same movie, so either the director's cut isn't as night and day as we thought, but I know for a fact the version that's on Tubi is called ICU. From what they've said, unless in Canada it was released as D-Tox.
All I'll say is if I watch a director's cut and it's as bad or worse than this, I'm going to kill you both.
What was the source you watched it on, Ryan?
Andy sent me a copy.
Okay,
right here. In ICU version, Jake is excited to see the ring and is a little coy about the price, but then agrees to buy it. Change of scene to a pub. He's having a drink with his police. Okay, the D-Tox version begins with the murder of the cop. Okay, there you go. So we didn't see the D-Tox.
Yeah, we didn't watch the director's
This sequence
cut.
is not very different from the ICU version, not even the moments of violence. Then come the previously discussed opening credits with the killer calling. After that, Jake is driven directly to the bunker and taken to the facility. This also doesn't differ from the ICU version in terms of content, with the difference that there are several time jumps interspersed, like Jake drinking, discussing with the cops, coming to the crime scene. Okay, that doesn't give us a lot, but it seems like.
Are you 100% it said D-Tox
yes,
on the title?
Because that was the first thing I noticed. Like, I get because the first thought I had when I saw the D-Tox, and it was D-Tox.
Yeah,
was that that's the official name of the movie. Though I don't know why we're debating this. I'm looking at D-Tox the same way I looked at Victory. It said Victory. It didn't say Escape the Victory, the version I saw. Right here, okay. The opening credits are strikingly different in the D-Tox version. The montage and fade-ins are designed differently. But here, too, there is a call from the killer, but the content is much clearer. I did have a call from the killer in the opening version.
I think you watched the director's cut, Ryan.
Oh, my gosh. Your version, guys. Here's yours. The opening credits of the ICU version starts with the killer's confusing call to police in which he explains his mindset. Oh, I heard that. Natural selection. The only option to win, lose, and death. And the police are a disturbing element in this process. If you remove them, man shows his true face. Because he's not good by nature, the weak would be erased, and that's the nature intended.
That's from ICU.
Yeah, a collage of his headquarters with the many badges as trophies and his handicrafts. Okay, I think I see. I'm so confused.
I just don't understand why it says D-Tox, because according to the movie censorship website, the only time it was ever called D-Tox was on Jim Gillespie's VHS Avid edit cut that they cropped out the time code.
No, I saw the ICU version because I'm looking at the side-by-side stills they're doing here. I saw because they're showing Sly getting the ring, and they show during that same time the cop getting killed. I think they're.
You know what I'm wondering, Ryan? The Blu-ray release that they put out back in July, the director's cut was a bonus feature. Okay. I wonder if they just called them both D-Tox for this release.
Because there's a Blu-ray copy that I got.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's probably what they did. They called it
Andy
D-Tox.
ripped it from his Blu-ray?
No, Andy. Yeah. Let's just say Andy. I don't know where he goes, but he finds stuff in a heartbeat and gets them to me very quickly. So I don't think it's worth watching the director's cut.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just did a quick side-by-side discussion on the website, and it doesn't seem that there's enough there to warrant a director's cut viewing to actually to save this film. I don't think you can Zack Snyder this film.
Well, we haven't even seen the Snyder cut yet.
I know it to be better. I know it is. I have faith. I'm a Snyder
It's going to be 4 hours with a cliffhanger that will never be resolved, Ryan.
It's going to be better. I don't care. I'm a Snyder supporter. I don't care. Oh, I want to end with this last thing, guys. Thoughts on the final kill?
I don't have any.
Are you kidding me? I can't wait to. One of the first things I'm going to do tomorrow morning is snip that kill and put it on our Facebook page.
It was graphic, but
well, I just thought it was hilarious. Okay, it was that classic. We see they have the final fight, the killer and Sly's character. They have a final fight in a warehouse barn or whatever, cottage barn, and there's like a spike sort of instrument or mechanical instrument. And we know that, of course, the bad guy's going to get impaled on this thing. So the bad guy does get impaled, and it's actually not too bad. He says, just before your wife died or your girlfriend died, she begged for her life, blah, blah, type dialogue. It's actually pretty.
She called your name. Just before I drained the life from
Whoa, he's really just not quitting being a bad guy. Sly's character gets pissed off, takes him off the spikes, then he lifts the body above his head with his own super strength and impales him again. I thought that was one of the best Sly kills I've seen on film history. I'm not even going to lie. I thought it was a great kill. I thought the double impale was something I've never seen before. Pulling him off the impale, impaling him again.
That part when he pulled him off the spikes and then like flipped him around over his head and then like drove him back through the spikes, that was impressive.
Yeah. I now see this or something.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a moment of, I got to admit, in this whole film of just slasher film, whatever, it was kind of fun just to see a little bit of a old school Sly killing of a bad guy. In all the films I've ever seen and all those impale moments we see in films, this is the first time I've seen the victim be pulled off and put back on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was ICU, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think?
I hadn't watched ICU in close to 20 years, and I probably will never watch ICU again.
No. I'll die never seen it again. It's an easy...
Although I've said that before. I said that about The Lords of Flatbush, and I've watched that again since. I know I'm going to eat my effing hat here, and I'm going to be talking about this on a damn Slycast episode in 2 years.
Oh, man.
My final thoughts on it are, I think there was a story there if they would have kept the investigation of a cop killer going. Even after Sly's love interest gets killed, and then he's got to wrestle with that, not being able to put his personal feelings aside and it becoming personal. Like, I think there was a story there. The whole D-Tox part in snowy Wyoming, you just throw right in the garbage.
I got to hand it to this guy who impersonated the British officer, got the British accent, did all the killings, all the tattooing, all the hanging ups and all the stuff that he did and got back in place to trick his counterparts. Full credit to him. And also full credit to him to correlate the snowstorm during this time. He was able to, he just mapped this whole thing out, man. It's absolute super villain, an absolute super villain.
It was Emperor Palpatine style pre-planning.
Yeah. If only he had put all of his energy towards good. Can you imagine what he could have done?
Well, imagine what he could have done had he just decided just to keep killing prostitutes. He didn't have to go after the cops. I mean, he was never caught.
Yeah, he could have just picked up where he left off with the prostitutes and been like, oh.
Best motive in cinematic history of a serial killer is he was interrupted. His prostitute killing was interrupted, and he turned his efforts on killing cops. Like, talk about upping the ante.
It was interrupted by an investigation.
That should be the message to any future prostitute killers on our show that listen to the show. You can fully expect to be investigated, so just keep that in mind. Don't let that discourage you from...
Oh, brother.
All right. Well, this has been another great episode of the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network. Doug, just want to plug your show and Craig yours, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, Rocky Minute is my show. We go through the Rocky movies 1 minute at a time. We are re-releasing our old episodes on the feed. We're halfway through season 2, so get ready for season 3. It's coming at you.
Can't wait.
Yeah, excellent. The most active I am podcasting-wise, aside from this network, is with my new show, Conversations at Jackrabbit Slim's, where as of this recording, 10 episodes in. And as you listen to this is an April release, right, Ryan?
Yes.
You're going to have an opportunity to hear me and Ryan podcast twice in the month of April on this episode. And then also Ryan is going to be my guest on Conversations at Jackrabbit Slim's for the April episode. And real high level elevator pitch for Conversations at Jackrabbit Slim's. It's a podcast about Pulp Fiction. So every episode I bring on a fan of the movie and we chat Pulp Fiction, but a lot of times we go down a lot of other roads as well. So it's not solely just a Pulp Fiction discussion. And it's been something I've had a lot of fun doing. Look forward to continuing on there. Slycast will trickle out episodes as we're able to all get together. There's a lot of moving parts involved with that show, a lot of very busy people. So until we can all sit down virtually together and chat a movie, that's where we are with Slycast. And also I've been making music as well. I've got 2 releases that I've done since August, and you can find those on my Bandcamp page. And if you just go to my Twitter, Mr. Craig Cohen on Twitter, you can find a link to all of my podcasts and musical adventures and all the other nonsense I do that people don't really give a shit about.
All right. Well, and I'm Ryan, host of the Going the Distance, the Rocky series and Creed podcast. At the time of this listening as well, starting in April. April's a big month, apparently. We'll be kicking off season 8 of our show. We're taking a little bit of a hiatus as of this recording, but we'll be on for season 8. Creed 2 will be beginning. Just a side note, I guess, for the listeners of this chat or this feed, I'll be going on lots of sailing. So the season 8 or the Creed 2 will be sporadic for the rest of 21. So be patient with that. But if you haven't already, subscribe to this network so you can see all the new shows that are coming in. And we're hoping some good things will be happening too. So keep subscribing because this channel will remain busy. That's
all right.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Go to bed, Doug.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Yeah. All right, fellas.